Hey YouTube, this is Cavaboomdeay, and today we are going to have a little bit of scary paranormal story time. So these stories come right off of creepypasta.com. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go read the stories yourself or take a look at some of the other ones. And if you have any stories, anything creepy that's happened to you, let me know. Alright, so the first one, they're watching. As you're eating dinner, watching reruns on TV, they're watching. As you sit on your computer late at night, they're watching. When you walk from your bedroom to the bathroom late at night, you can be certain that they're watching. They watch everything you do. They listen to every little sound you make. They're with you every second of the day and every day of the year. Who are they, you may ask? Well, it's not so much a question of who they are, but what they are. For lack of a better name, I simply call them watchers. Everybody has one, and you've likely already seen yours countless times. It's in the room with you right this second. Take a quick glance around you. Chances are your eyes connected with the eyes of your watcher. Oh, but don't bother looking again. They can't be seen by normal people, while programmed not to take any notice of them. Oh, we're programmed not to take any notice of them. They would be anywhere. They could be anywhere, though, hiding behind chairs in your dining room, watching you from atop your refrigerator, staring at you from beneath your desk as you do work, peeping at you from the end of your bed as you sleep. Some people are chosen, however, chosen to be the few unfortunate bunch that get to see their watcher. I'm one of those unlucky few. They're never fully exposed, but the sight of one is a sight to pity. They're always hunched over in fetal position, their small, pale, bony body looking as if it would be crushed under the weight of its large head. They have large, black, soulless eyes that are always staring right into yours, always watching you, judging you. It starts slow, being able to see them. In the course of a few weeks, you'll begin to see small movements in your peripheral vision. You will throw these occurrences off as normal, well, until the noises begin. The noises gradually get more and more defined over 2 or 3 weeks. In my experience, it was the slow padding of feet shuffling across my hardwood floor as I was trying to sleep. Then I began to hear it graze the shower curtains as I shampooed my hair. Finally, I could hear it whispering to me when I was alone in a language I had never heard before. For weeks I thought I was going crazy. For weeks I considered checking myself into a mental hospital. For weeks I felt like killing myself. That is, until I finally saw it. It was about a year and a half ago, and I was reading Robert Stevenson's novel Treasure Island. As usual, I heard the slow patter on the floor coming from the furthest corner of my room to the end of my bed. Annoyed, I looked up, expecting the usual nothingness that I was used to seeing for the past months. When I looked up, it was the same sight I was used to seeing. There was, however, something about this sight that made me feel uneasy. Finally, I noticed it staring at me from between the bars at the end of my bed. I could just see the outline of its head in the dark of the night. I quickly looked back at my book, acting as if I hadn't seen it, and hoped that it would just go away. I sat there, paralyzed for what seemed like half an hour before I looked up again. It was still there staring at me, looking at me, watching me. You have likely had the same experience. The difference is that you don't notice it is watching you. You're not supposed to notice it. It doesn't want to be noticed. After a few days, I began seeing it everywhere, looking up at me from under the table while I ate dinner, in passing cars on my way to work. My watcher appeared everywhere. I scream at it to go away, but it just stares at me. I throw things at it, but it doesn't move. My girlfriend and friends all left me because they thought I was acting psychotic. My family keeps telling me that they can help me, but I don't need help. I just need to stare back and it'll go away. I rarely move anymore. I figure that if I bore it, it'll leave. I'll just have to sit here and watch it. I'm always watching. All right. So it seems kind of like maybe these watchers, that's what's happening, and he's turning into one of them. I don't know. But I would definitely think he was psychotic if he was yelling at stuff. So the next one we're going to read is Stalked, and it seems to be a letter, or in letter form. So let's just go with this. Dear reader, I'd like to start off by saying that I don't have a clue why I'm writing this letter. Well, that makes two of us. Maybe I want this thing to be known to the world, or something. The events described in this letter happened about a month and a half ago in Springdale, Kentucky. Although I started writing this about 2 weeks ago, I just haven't really had the guts to finish until what happened at the gas station. The story starts in late September, when my family went to go visit our relatives who invited us up to celebrate one of them getting like $2,000 and some scratch-off lottery thing. They live in this really hillbilly part of Springdale that people from Charleston, Shepherdstown, and Duncanville, basically the least redneck parts of Kentucky, like to call Hicksville. We lived in Duncanville. It is way down in a valley, and exactly like how everyone pictures it when they hear about it. Nothing but crappy shacks and rusty-ass rebuilt trailers. The relatives we are visiting are absolutely weird. They all acted as if there was some sort of secret that they always had to keep hidden, which they did, and that would be discovered later. So anyway, we're up here in this godforsaken trailer, and it sucks. There's like 8 relatives, plus me, my dad, my mom, and my sister. About 2 hours in, my mom takes my cell phone so that I can focus on the family time together, which is crap. All we did the whole time was eat TV dinners and be forced to watch NASCAR and shit. After like 6 hours of that, about 10 minutes before we're supposed to leave, it starts raining. We know how treacherous the roads can get back to the valley, so we decided to wait for the rain to die down. 2 hours later, it's fucking dark as hell, 10 o'clock, and there's a flood warning for the area. I have my phone back by this time, no service of course. I'm playing Tetris and Texas Hold'em and stuff, when suddenly I hear my dad start losing his mind in the next room. I walk over and it turns out that they let slip that they'd buried their kid Thomas outside, and apparently were afraid of the rain would wash up his body or some other crap. The kid was like 6, he was attacked by a dog and they never told the cops. Just fucking buried him like he was a family pet. My dad's flipping out, and rightfully so, because, you know, we live in the 21st century and all, so our relatives all say they'll sort it all out in the morning. My parents tell me and my sister to stay in the same room as them during the night, and we do. None of us really suspected that they'd killed Thomas or anything, since they're really peaceful. They didn't even own any guns except for this one old rusty double-barreled shotgun they had on a mantle. Nevertheless, we were creeped the hell out and intended to tell the cops in the morning once we got to town. So it was like 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. The power had gone out for the 5th time or so, and I'm not able to charge my dead phone. Worst part is, I could see Thomas's little grave right outside the window, little cross on it and everything. I assumed the kid couldn't have been buried deep at all, since they were worried about him just washing up out of the grave, so I was just fixated on it. I kept being drawn to look out the window, and then I saw the fucking worst thing in my life. Something was creeping through the trees towards the house. I stared at it for a while, but couldn't get a good look at it since it was raining and the brush was so thick. For a few minutes I assumed it was 2 really pale horses, kind of ambling through the woods side by side, but then it walked into the moonlight and I saw that it was all one thing, like some kind of human torso but wider. It finally stepped into full view, and I saw it had something like 6 legs, kind of somewhere between a beetle's legs and a horse's legs. 2 arms right where someone would normally have them, but they were about half a foot longer than the normal man's arms. It had a bald head, but the face looked like some sort of fucking bizarre blank kind of mask. This clenched up, furrowed forehead, and a nose that looked sort of like a raven's beak. It didn't have eyes, either, just the sockets where eyes would go. It looked like it had a human mouth, just a very large one. What still strikes me to this day is that it seemed to have a stinger on its back, right between where a normal person would have shoulder blades. The thing moved sort of gracefully and made these soft thumping noises when it moved. It must have been like 7 or 8 feet tall, but sounded like it weighed maybe only 100 pounds at most. It started walking towards Thomas's grave, and when I finally snapped out of whatever trance I was in and screamed, my mom is the first to wake up, and I tell her to look out the window. She rushes over and doesn't really seem to understand what she's looking at. After a minute, though, the thing bends down and starts pawing at the grave with its clawed hands. My dad and Jasper, my uncle, rush in, and Jasper fucking loses his shit, screams like a little girl, and runs back out of the house yelling for his father, screaming, "It's outside! It came, and it's outside!" I look back and see that the thing is digging furiously at the ground, kicking up huge mounds of dirt. I hear the sound of feet running around the house. I think they are looking for the shotgun. The thing reaches into the hole and grabs up what I assume was Thomas's body by the leg in one hand. The thing kind of gallops back into the woods, snapping all these branches and shit, and that's when we all hear it. A kid crying. The sound of a child sobbing and crying from the direction that the thing took off in. So we left as soon as the rain let up, at like 5 a.m. I didn't even think we told anyone at the house, just drove straight back to Duncanville, only stopping for gas. No one said a word to each other. My family refuses to speak about what happened. I tried to bring it up once just to make sure it was real. My dad told me to shut the fuck up, so I did. I started writing this about 3 weeks after it happened, but just saved it in a school folder and left it alone. Never mentioned it to any of my friends or anything, just tried to erase it from my mind. It mostly worked up until I went to work. See, I work at the gas station in Duncanville from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. I work the register, keep the place clean, take out the trash. When I was bringing the trash bags over to the back of the building for the dude in the morning to come take care of, I heard what I had assumed to be some junkie kicking around in the dumpster. I yelled at whoever it was a couple of times to get the hell out before I called the cops, but as I walked towards the source of the noise, I actually heard those same footsteps. That soft thump thump, hoofs or feet or whatever the hell they were. I turned right around and went back into the store and hid behind the counter. I looked over at the outside security monitor to see some kind of movement from just off screen, something huge casting a shadow and moving. I caught a glimpse of, I don't know, an elbow or something, a pale limb darting in and out of view. It had to have been the same thing. I waited for it to leave, and after a while it did. I woke up behind the counter at 1 a.m. this morning. I was in complete fear of the creature that was pursuing me, but it was gone now, and now I had nothing to fear, at least for the moment. That was when I heard the cry of a child. Then there was scratching at the back door. I ran back and made sure that the door was locked, which it was. Thankfully, the back door has no window on it, so I didn't have to see what it was. I went back to the register and looked at the security cameras. A young boy around the age of 6 was scratching at the door. His head leaned at a strange angle, and some of his flesh had fallen off. But what was even more disturbing about it was that he seemed to be growing extra limbs. That's weird. And a strange pointed one was starting to jut from his back, right between the shoulder blades. I continued to cower behind the register until I fell asleep again. I woke up this morning to my boss flipping out because I was asleep on his floor. He was probably thinking I was a drug addict or something. I took the whole week off to stay at home, waiting for the creature to come back. Every so often it does. I sit and I wait for that creature to finally have me. I have photocopied this letter and mailed it to all the people that I hold dear. You may find me dead one day, if you don't find a way to help me first. The power has been out at my house for a while and the phones don't work. I'm going to go outside for the first time in a long time to mail these. Hopefully it isn't waiting. I hear it now, and I may have just heard a window break. Maybe I won't get this out for a while until it's gone, or maybe not at all, depending on whether or not the shadow looming over me is my imagination. Thump, thump. So I'm going to leave it off there. That was 2 stories. They're kind of creepy. I think I can't even remember the first one I read. Yeah, I'm gonna leave a description, like a link in the description so you can come and read these yourself. Maybe check out some other ones. Thanks for joining me for Scary Paranormal Story Time, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.